All right, we're live. Episode 36 of InfoSec
36.
to
That's awesome.
Insanity. Well, yeah, we still don't have our shit together though. We're
I
still
bet. I
working
bet
on
it's a
that.
little more together than it was on episode one.
Yeah, episode one. Did you hear about the story about episode one?
Uh.
All right, so episode one was like 5 minutes before we were going to go live. Power went out in
Ooh.
at my house, so I was like, "Oh, son of a bitch!" So I had to run. I have the generator, so but I didn't have gas, so I had to go run to get gas. But then the gate, to get out of our neighborhood
Mm-hmm.
is on the power, so it wouldn't open.
Mm.
And so I had to
Just
get out.
ram it with the truck.
No, dude, you can't do that. I gotta, like, I'm part of that association, so I gotta pay for that shit. So like, what am I gonna do? So I had what do you call those, like, portable, like, those tools, multi tool.
Yeah.
I had one of those in my truck, so I got out and disconnected the arms, so pushed the gate open, and yeah. But I got all that shit, got gas, started it, plugged it in, and then I found out that the circuit that my I had all the podcast shit set up on
Mm-hmm.
was not on the generator. So I had to
Hmm.
tear everything down, move it downstairs, put it all back together again, to get live. So yeah, that was definitely a shit show.
So what you're saying is you're committed to this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. Pretty much. I mean, sort of. We bought these new headsets. So Matt, we're up here in Minnesota because John and I. So people who don't know who John is the CEO of FR Secure and kind of CEO for like multiple things that I start. I guess I don't know.
Would you say Evan management? Would that be a
You know,
skill?
there's a little bit of that. I've been called many things that start with the word Evan. Evan Wrangler, um, Evan Whisperer has been mentioned a couple of times, but
I do
uh,
like when you whisper.
I've
I
heard
gotta.
work wife before.
That's
No,
Kevin.
that's yeah,
Oh,
that's Kevin. We're definitely like what would be like work cousins maybe.
Hmm.
I don't know what the
Brothers.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. He's like,
Absolutely. But in reality, I mean, for those of you that know Evan, that would listen to this, Evan has 1,000 ideas a day, and some of them are business ideas, some of them are nonsense ideas, some of them involve flying helicopters. Like there's all kinds of things that Evan does, and you know many reasons why I love him for having such an active brain. He's got a big brain, and I like when he uses it. But my job, because I'm not that way, is to take those ideas and do something with them when they're applicable to our business dealings. So in the parlance of business speak, he's the visionary of everything, and I'm the integrator.
mhm,
So a lot of it is Evan saying, "I think we should do this," and I'm like, "Okay, let me go see if we can get that done," and then building plans and metrics and getting all the people involved, and we've got an awesome team, and yeah, that's
dude.
kind of how it's evolved over the years. We've been working together coming up on 13 years.
Hmm.
damn, that's a long time. Congrats.
Yep. John used a big word and all that. He said parlance.
I know words. I have a liberal arts education.
Matt, maybe while we're
They taught me how
talking,
to
you
fake it.
can just run that past Chat GPT and we can find out what the hell that word means.
That's what I do. Yep.
That is what you do. You're
A
good at it.
particular manner of speaking.
Excuse me. I just coughed on the podcast. We're gonna have to edit that out. So, all right. Yeah. So that's John. John is awesome. And the theme for tonight's podcast is, that blog post that I wrote a while back. We're still in the series of mental health, right? May was Mental Health Awareness Month. And then I was like kind of complaining, like, why is it just a month? And then I wrote like 10 or 11 blog posts about it. And one of those blog posts was check on your strong friends. And as I was thinking about, like, I have a lot of strong friends, actually. It's the strong friends that I think keep me out of jail and everything. But John is the strongest friend I know. He's a guy that, I mean, yeah, if you got to know John, he's always up for a challenge. He takes it on, but then, you know, we're real with each other, and sometimes things crack, man. I mean, sometimes you got to have even the strong people, have problems to deal with too, right? So I thought he'd be a really good person to bring on this podcast. So that's the episode. And then, but before we do that, right, we got into this segment thing. We've been trying to figure out like, how do you make the podcast like tolerable? I think for people. I mean, we're not.
Structured, so like, right, you either tolerable for one, but structured so we can break it down into those shorts that they can digest easier
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're not
consistently.
we're not trying to go like Joe Rogan on this thing because like that ain't happening. But at least make it tolerable so the people that do find themselves here and they're like, oh, what's this podcast? And they start listening. They're like, oh my God, I can't unlisten. I can't unhear what I just heard. Right. So we've made, we're doing segments. So and I sent, John doesn't even know because I didn't send him the show notes because I create the show notes, what, like
10
15 minutes?
seconds before.
See, John laughs because
Classic Evan.
he knows that's what it is.
I'm trying to make if you got any tips on how to make this, like, a day before, let me know. I'm trying to
You
For
gotta
me,
tell
help
Evan that the
there.
podcast is yesterday, and then he'll get it to you yesterday.
it's true. Yeah.
It's
Convince
like,
me it's a
oh,
different day.
sorry, man, we need to reschedule. Let's do it tomorrow.
So every Tuesday I'll message him and say it's
You got the
Wednesday.
show notes for tonight?
Yeah, there we go.
Well, we did like the first 33 podcasts without any show notes.
That's true. That is true.
So, at least we're making progress on that. So John and I are here in Minnesota. You're in Wisconsin, Matt. Who's
Minnesota
I
and
don't think they let you.
Wisconsin.
I don't think they let you over here, do they?
Well, I mean, I don't think they let you go back with our beer, I think is what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Does Minnesota
Yeah.
have like immigration, so they like don't let you into this state?
I've never had that problem. No, I don't
Hmm.
think so.
I'll have to,
No,
I'll have to
pretty
petition
sure
the
it's not true.
I'll have to petition the governor about that. We should get some laws passed. Keep Wisconsin people. Send your cheese
I mean,
and
I'd
your
be
beef
okay
jerky.
not going there.
Send your cheese, your beef jerky, but the people
You
can
guys
stay there.
kind of don't know how to play football, so I'm all right.
Dude, seriously, I'm gonna drive right over there and smack you right upside the damn head.
It's only 6 hours, man. I've done it. Bring it.
6 hours. So
You know, because your ass
if I
would
left right
drive.
now, I would get there
You
at
would
2.
drive too. I know. Yeah,
If
I'll
you want a
shut
challenge, yeah,
up.
I could. Marlis would be, she's used to that, so she just dude, give me this. It's the same look.
Yeah.
I get that all the time. All right. So the podcast. All right. The first thing we start off is what the fuck happened this week.
Mm.
What do you got, Matt?
The 23 and Me. Oh man, that fucking pissed me off.
What pissed you off about
So
it?
it just seems it's so skeezy. So I know personally someone that's used 23 and Me, and it's like,
Mm.
why are you doing that? Well, I want to know these things about me and stuff. Like, okay, cool, but like you're giving your DNA to somebody, literally. Like, they'll
Yeah.
probably clone you in 50 years. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but what's that stop you? I'm drinking this drink right here. You
Yeah,
get my DNA right off of this,
it's
can't you?
yeah, whatever. But
Well,
like I'm
you
trusting
need a
it.
better comeback than that.
Yeah,
You're talking
I'm
about a
just
pool of DNA, right?
right. Like
And the news this week is that 23andMe is for sale. Somebody's going to buy it.
they're basically on the auction house, highest bidder. They're looking for someone to buy them, and the it's cool to see that the states are asking the tough questions. So that means like we're moving somewhere. But the CEO is like, yeah, we can't really guarantee what's going to happen with your data. It's kind of a big red flag. So it's like I pay you to take my data and then I make money off of it for years doing whatever I'm doing with it.
You didn't read
And
that end
now
user
because I
you didn't
suck
read that
at
you didn't read
managing
that
your
end user
data,
license agreement, Matt?
no one reads those. It's fuck click through, man.
Yeah, well you clicked it.
Well, and then they got hacked, so they fucking lost it all. And now they're bankrupt, so they're gonna make profit on like four different kinds of being shitty.
For different.
Just pisses me off.
Well, they're really, I mean, the thing is 23andMe, there's really no intellectual property. really. I mean, it's a DNA test,
Right.
right? So you send, they send you something, you swab your thing, put it back in the thing, send it back, and then they do their DNA test, and then they send you an email saying, "Hey, log in here to get your results," and you click that, and you get your results. You're like, "Oh, look, I'm German,
Or
and
you
I'm
have some
and I have
kind of disease,
yeah,
hereditary or something.
and I have ADHD." It's like, okay,
It's
I
good
already
to know.
figured
I
that shit
mean,
out.
I think some of that leads to, people finding long lost cousins or like, daddies you never met, stuff like that too. Probably helps
Yeah, I
because
know, but
now
we're not.
you're like,
But your point is, I mean, we're not selling this shit for them, right? The point is that this is really what they have that I think that's really valuable to whatever buyer is the data,
hmm
isn't it?
yes. I mean, you think
And it's not that it's
nation
your data.
state, what the fuck,
Nation
terrorists.
nation state. Yeah. What do
You
you
could
think,
do all
John?
kinds of targeted type stuff with that data that goes beyond just surveillance.
Yeah. What do you think,
Yeah,
John?
I don't know. I mean, from a privacy perspective, like I've chosen not to do it. I've never done any of the DNA tests or anything like that because I don't want to know. I don't want to find some long lost cousin that's going to end up on my doorstep and want to borrow my truck or something. Like, leave me alone. You know.
Mhm.
And so I would hate for this data to become a mechanism by which, whether it's the legal industry, whether it's, whoever, to like facilitate it for me somehow, where it's like, hey, choose not to be discoverable, and now you're going to make me discoverable. You're going to put me in this little ecosystem that I never wanted to be a part of in the first place for whatever reason, because I just don't want to. And now I'm going to be a part of it. I'm just not. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like how it can lead to, because right now you can do the thing even and opt out of being discoverable, and whoever buys this may overstep that, and I think that's a pretty egregious breach of privacy.
Well, and I've said before, like, as a CISO, I always share that story. The one that was, there's certain things that happen over your career that are defining moments. And the one where I was working at MGI Pharma, and I misspent the money, that thing, that was a defining moment. But it's also like, as a CISO, as a CEO, as somebody who wants to be responsible and do the right thing, don't you feel the weight, or shouldn't you feel the weight that this data that you're peddling is not your fucking data? Even if they willingly gave it to you and all that other stuff, the fact of the matter is that data is associated with an individual person, and that data cannot be changed, right? If it's my social security number, all right, allegedly I could go to the Social Security Administration and get a new Social Security number if my identity is stolen. I mean, it's a pain in the ass, like everything with the federal government, but at least I can change it. The thing is with DNA, I can't change my DNA. That shit's like with me forever. And, you know, I wish more people, I wish CISOs, I wish people who work in information security, I wish CEOs would feel the weight of this data, that it doesn't really actually belong to you. You make decisions that
you're a
affect
steward.
people. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
another another take on this maybe is, I think we're heading this way anyway. I know the healthcare industry, and I haven't heard a lot about this in a while, but we mapped the human genome in its full in what, 1998,
Mm,
and now all these years later, they're starting to get into the realm of, what do they call it, individualized medication.
mm,
If that makes any
right.
sense, right? Where it's like you would never take a headache pill. You would take a headache pill that works only for you, specifically designed to your ailment, that works with your DNA, that works with your pile of DNA, that works with your pile of whatever you got, right?
That's scary shit.
So, I mean, is this just, yeah, hey, it's going to happen anyway. It's just happening a little sooner and from a source that we're not comfortable with. But I feel like one day, in order to even be insured medically, you're going to have to give this up, and your DNA and everything's going to have to be on file.
Yeah. Good point. I mean, that's a interesting discussion. It's almost like you're fucked anyway, so just roll over and take it. You know what I mean?
That's, I mean, I you can see that perspective, right? But does why does it have to be that? Is I guess my frustration.
Come move to Mexico. They're a good 20
Just
years
because
behind this.
just because we're letting thousands of companies be shitey fucks doesn't mean like we have to continue to allow it.
Did you see the blog post I just posted this evening?
No, sir.
All right. It was when you get a chance. It's the what the hell is it titled? Oh, does it even matter?
Oh boy.
Have you ever asked yourself that as an information security professional? Like we work our asses off, hours upon
You
hours upon hours, and then do you ever sit there and think like, does it even matter?
you have forced me to ask myself that question many times, even though you
Right.
don't know it.
Well, I mean, it's important because like you get up in the morning and you pour your heart into it still, right? And some days it feels like I don't feel like doing it. I'm like, fuck this. You guys deal with
Hmm.
the crap. I'm disconnecting, going off the grid, enjoy life.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel
So
like that.
the 23andMe thing, I think the good news is the states are trying to push that all whatever million amount of, well, what pisses me off too is they call them users, they're fucking customers. I think we call them users and we disassociate from our responsibility, but that could be a whole nother conversation. But they're trying to
They're like
make,
users because they're like addicts.
yeah, but they're trying to make all of them approve the sale
Right.
individually.
Like most things in the U.S. Until this somebody suffers, I think enough to where it hurts enough to where people are going to pay attention. It becomes an election issue. Money's going to rule, right? So here's one that wasn't in the show notes about what the fuck happened this week. It just happened today, right? And we got to bring it up. I think it affected, kind of everybody. But the Google Cloud outage. Is that how you
Hmm.
say it? Outage? No, yeah, because we're close enough to Mexico. We're close enough to Canada.
Voltage,
We're close enough to Canada
otterage,
now. You can almost call it outage. Do they call it outage in Canada?
otterage.
Otterage.
Like Ottawa, Otteridge.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, good point. All right, so Google Cloud had a big outage. You know how I found out about that today? And the timelines that you've been seeing in the news is bullshit because that's not like somebody wrote, because you see this every time there's like a big news thing. There's this big rush to write something about it and claim, like you're authoritative, like you have some kind of insider information about what the fuck happened. And I was reading one that said at 1:51 a.m. p.m. Sorry, Eastern time is when this thing happened. And I was like, the
Mm,
way I found out about it was,
more like 20 after, but sure.
no, no, dude, it was like it was before noon because
You're in a
Cloudflare.
different time zone, guy.
No, no, no. I'm in the same time zone as you. Dude, fucking Wisconsin people. Are you shitting me? I'm in Minnesota right now.
Yeah, but if it's reporting on the East Coast as 1, then it's 12 here.
No, that's not what I said. It was
Oh.
1:51 like this time.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Excuse
Well,
me.
I'm confused. It's too late in the night for me to be doing this, man. All right. So anyway, and the way I found out is because my website went down. I don't know. Do you monitor your shit? Like I monitor. It's just a website, but I monitor it, and then I got an email saying my site's down. I'm like, oh, weird. So I go and look. Yeah, it's down, and I don't maintain that site. I don't. It's the FR Secure marketing team. So I just shot them an email saying, hey, whenever you get a chance, it's not a big deal. And they're like, oh, we'll take a look at it. And then he replied back that Hyphy was down. Two of our other web properties, like FR Secure web
Mm,
properties, were down. Hyphay, or is it Hyphay or Hyphy?
high fee.
Hyphy, and Hacks and Hops. Those two websites were down. And then, they replied back to me that Cloudflare was down. Like, all right, that's a big deal. And then Google Cloud, because Cloudflare immediately like pointed fingers at Google Cloud, and which affected Spotify, Discord, obviously Google, AWS, Cloudflare, um, Snapchat. I mean, the list is huge about how big of a deal this is. And it was down what, a couple hours?
Yeah. I mean, it started to restore like around 3 hours later, slowly come back.
Yeah, at 4:16 p.m. Eastern time. So Matt, on your time thing that you said,
Hmm.
Google said we have identified the root cause and applied appropriate mitigations. Our infrastructure has recovered in all regions except US Central 1. Google Cloud products that rely on the affected infrastructure are seeing recovery in multiple locations. Our engineers are aware of the customer still experiencing issues on US-Central 1 and multi-region/US and are actively working on full recovery. We do not have an ETA for full recovery. That's a lot.
So I want to add a service here that you didn't mention that I didn't think of. I
Mhm.
just grabbed it off of comments from Down Detector.
Mm,
This dude says his Google Nest home security camera went down.
yep, that's true.
So people's physical security of their houses and shit offline.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
One thing of how many IoT systems and devices are hooked up to Google Cloud. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Even beyond like houses, I'm sure there's some other physical security. The cool thing is most attackers, on the physical side, don't know shit about this anyway, so they wouldn't have been able to take advantage of it. I don't think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're not plugged
honestly,
into that.
I say I'm surprised that this doesn't happen more.
Yeah.
You know,
Like Microsoft.
Oh yeah.
any of
Microsoft,
them,
AWS.
Microsoft, AWS, Google, like you hosting the entire internet on your servers, and what we get one issue every couple years that impacts people at a grand scale. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not hearing about it, or they're good at covering up. But it just feels like an outage like this that lasts hours is seems pretty rare. Am I right or wrong? Is that
No, you're right. No,
For
it's actually
Google, it's rare.
it's more common than you think. I mean, between like the big players, I mean the big tech players, I'd say it's a couple times a year, but not
hmm,
just Google, right? It might be Microsoft on their O365 infrastructure shit, or it might be AWS, but it seems like a
so?
couple
Microsoft
times
is
a year.
pretty regular.
Yeah, they're a bunch of
So not being like not having an IT background, never having managed infrastructure, when everything was on prem, right, and everybody's managing their own stuff, and cloud really wasn't anything anybody was super reliant on. Is that a better or worse failure rate?
I think
Well,
it depends on the skill of your team, but you'd still have, infrastructure, routing issues, internet infrastructure,
Hmm.
issues.
I think I think it depends on what kind of answer you want to give to your leadership. When it's in the cloud, you can say, it's the cloud, not my problem." If you're hosting it
Hmm.
on prem, you can't deflect.
Well, but that was the part that, was it was always an opportunity, I think, to shine because, then the skill of your IT team and stuff would become a market differentiator, a competitive advantage. Because we took a lot of pride in our shit, and there were a lot of times when our competition was down, but we were still running. And I think
so
we got customers because of it.
yeah, so from the vantage point, yeah, I like that kind of thing, that absolving of like, hey, this is what happens. It's not my issue. Um, you mentioned the physical security being compromised potentially. Like surveillance that relies on cloud connectivity, right? What other things are potential? Like, oh crap, Google's down for 2 hours. Like, I need to go take these measures, although because we're exposed somehow, or is it an availability issue, or would it potentially cause other security issues that people should be concerned about?
Oh yeah, lots of
M-
different issues. I think
Most companies probably have no idea.
Oh, that's interesting.
Google
Why do
Maps
you
was
say
down.
that? What does that mean? Like, you don't think they're just like,
In my experience, companies don't have things mapped to their services And then there would also be other rogue services within a company, someone doing something over here that is connected into something that's making us money and we don't know how it works. And it could be connected to Google and we just wouldn't know. We could have a third party provider that provides support for a machine and they can't provide that support. Random things like that companies have no clue about. It's just gotten so complex.
Yeah, for sure. Like on the back end, like if you subscribe to like Cloudflare, because that was one of the things that how we detected it today was the site was down. Why was the site down? Well, Cloudflare is down, but we didn't know that Cloudflare was dependent upon Google Cloud for its functions. So it's like there's this ripple effect that happens. Because another outage, another thing that was out today was Google Maps. You know,
I can't
seems
get
like
anywhere
Interesting.
without Google Maps,
I know
man.
it seems like this generation can't read a map and can't function
I
without.
can, I just choose not to.
Yeah,
Why would you? It's so reliable, right?
Yes.
Um, and the
it's never going to go
yeah,
down.
Never ever.
but like the thing behind the thing that's interesting too, because like an outage like this, or I remember that didn't Oracle have some problem like their database screwed up or whatever? You just realized how much of the world runs on Google data or on
Hmm.
Oracle database rather, and you're like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Like Oracle's kind of got everybody by the balls. Is that
Hmm.
okay? Like, I remember some of those discussions happening. Should we
Yeah,
diversify a little bit? Should we not? Should we look those layers behind the layers and make sure we're all not our whole business isn't dependent on really just two or three big providers that could have an outage and cost us money or whatever.
it's funny you
Oh, it's
mentioned Oracle
interesting.
because there's a news article from 2 days ago that claims Oracle will leapfrog Google Cloud as the world's number one hottest cloud vendor.
We just bought Oracle as a service.
Yeah,
What the fuck that means, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
don't
know
worry
we had
about
to
it.
build
they don't
a
they don't
fucking
want you to know.
tunnel.
That's why they charge you
Don't
so
worry
much
about it,
for it.
Matt. Just secure it.
We had to build a tunnel that they just fucking, yep, here, make this route work.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Just secure it.
Yeah.
All right, here's the next one. UNFI, United Natural
Oh yeah,
Foods.
I had some direct experience with this one today.
That's
Yeah.
Um,
Amazon.
Well,
well,
that's like
that's
a huge food distributor.
yeah. There's food. It's I think from what I heard today, UNFI is a huge provider of like refrigerated goods. So
Hmm.
everything from what's in freezers to refrigerated stuff, produce, all kinds of things. And there's like literal grocery stores that aren't restocking shelves because the trucks aren't showing up, and all kinds of things. So it's a
That's
big
crazy.
impact. Yeah, I had some spent some time with a regional um, grocer today, and they were asking us all kinds of things. And it's like, hey, shit happens, right? You're not going to prevent everything, but um, Unify is not handling it well. Being pretty vague in their responses. They're not being super helpful to those who are wondering whether or not they should run an ad in the paper about the sale that they all agreed to a week ago, and whether or not they're
Mm.
going to have stock on certain things. And this particular grocer, is like in Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin, rural Minnesota, the UP was Michigan, and it's like you can't just ride down the road to Albertsons or whoever, as an alternative. It's that widespread, and they're in areas where this is the only option to get groceries.
The largest publicly
You know,
traded natural and organic food distributor in North America.
they're huge.
$31 billion in annual revenue, 28,300 employees, and 53 distribution centers. It's like this
Wow.
food thing that you probably never heard of, but
You
you've
drive
heard of
by
them.
all the time, you don't know it's there.
Yeah, you've
Mm.
definitely heard of them now, sadly,
Well,
because of
they
this.
filed an 8K with the SEC, right? So they did their notification duty, but they didn't really disclose anything. They're not sharing IOCs. They're not holding town halls with updated information. They're not sending out emails. Everything comes back like it was read by 10 lawyers and doesn't really say anything. So none of these, this
We've
could
gotten
involve
really
ADI systems. It could involve all kinds of things, which means that, the people that they're supplying could be compromised by the same, shit. And they're not giving them any help in being able to identify if that's happening. And so
We've
either
gotten
this
really
could
good
be
at
the
that
tip of the
bullshit.
iceberg, or it could be, this is just a disruption. It'll be done next week.
Well, for the listeners, so this is what happened on June 5th. They discovered this unauthorized access and proactively took systems offline. Right. So it's not like a ransomware did it. They noticed the unauthorized access and then shut things down. It might have been ransomware. I don't know. They're still not really telling anybody.
How would you know?
But the outage disrupted the order fulfillment for grocery chains. Now, the big one that I think originally was in the news was Whole Foods.
Hmm.
But so that's the one, it's publicly disclosed, but it's a lot of them. And so, and what the impact, according to this news article, shelves grew bare in categories like dairy, frozen foods, cereal, and snacks. Smaller markets like the one you're talking about, John, it's a smaller market, but still substantially large in that area, scrambled for alternatives from Cisco and Amazon to
Yeah,
fill these
it's just
orders.
I mean, like, here in the Minneapolis area, it's like, oh, Cub doesn't have my stuff. I'll just go to Albertsons instead, or go to Walmart instead, whatever. If you're in Marquette, Michigan, you probably can't. If Super One's out of it, they're out. That's it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
So according to them, they've rolled out some secure workarounds. I don't like workarounds, and engaged forensic teams, but I think it's Mandiant probably on this one.
If it's unauthorized access, like there's no workaround. Just fix your shit.
Yeah, right. The stock
Uh,
plunged. The stock plunged 9 to 18% in a few days, but it's back up again. If you look
this
at the
feels
stock,
like China. Feels like China and tariffs, trade war shit is what it feels like to me.
Eroding our confidence in our food supply.
our food supply's in pretty bad shape. Not just here, but just
In
the
general,
co-ops and the growers. Yeah, I mean
Mm.
it's an interesting place to attack.
Yeah, for our listeners, learn how to grow things, learn how to make food on your own, learn how to process animals. This is a part of your duty as a human being to be able to feed yourselves and your family.
Or come live
Um,
in Mexico for crying out loud.
that's fair.
it's tempting.
Just learn how to fish, for God's sake.
There's no
Keep you
UNFI down
alive.
in Mexico.
Grow some carrots in your backyard.
Got a lot of Oscos
Yeah. All right. So
every other
another,
corner.
we'll go through these next ones really quick. 4 billion records leaked in China's biggest ever data spill.
Were they
I'm
like
not a big fan of
rock
China, like the
records
government.
or jazz records or like what kind of records?
Oh, like personal records,
Personal
bank
bank
information.
info.
Personal.
The
WeChat
fuck?
is big over there. Alipay data.
The the
So
boring records.
yeah, but
That's a
it's
lot of records, man.
dude, it's over half the world, half the planet, man. This is huge, and I'm glad it's like. I mean, I don't want to see anybody like suffer, but at least it's China for crying out loud.
I mean,
It's
the
nice.
people are fine over there.
I mean, the
It's the
Chinese
it's,
for crying out loud. I mean, what
it's
the hell
the
could happen to
government.
them? Yeah. So that's a big one. There was a recent article from Veracode, or a recent study. 80% of U.S. government networks harbor vulnerabilities older than a year. So there's your federal government. Don't expect the government to do things you should be doing for yourself. That's my
Ah,
opinion.
you need blockchain and AI. Fix it all.
Shut up, Matt. I'm telling you, it's not what you need. Interpol cracks down on info stealers. 32 arrests, 20,000 IPs were nuked this week. That was a kind of a big deal. You can look at that one. Mystery iPhone
Do you
crashes.
know
So
what happens when they nuke these IP addresses? Do they go back up for sale, or are they like parked and reserved forever? Any idea?
No, I haven't froze up.
it's just me and you, John. Yeah.
I'm here.
No,
Oh, we're
I
back.
the
All right,
IPs.
we're back.
When they say the IPs were nuked, all that means is that they burned them. They didn't. The attackers didn't actually own those IPs. So then they're on RBLs, remote blacklists, until they can verify that what was behind that IP address is no longer the bad thing, and then they remove them. But it's not.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
It's not like they're actually shut off or something. Okay, I'm
n-
tracking.
no. 20,000 botnet IPs. So a lot of these botnet IPs were like home,
IoT devices and shit.
yeah, home computers and stuff like that. Yeah,
That's why my computer's faster now. All right.
yeah. And then how about these mystery iPhone crashes? I thought this was an interesting story, and then we'll get to our main topic because like iPhones are generally, pretty secure. I mean, my Apple does a pretty damn good job, um, but there's been a lot of talk of these mystery iPhone crashes, and there's rumors that this is some kind of China-linked zero-click event. I don't know. I don't know enough, but I think it's something to keep an eye out for because the thing about computers is they only do what they've been told to do. So if your computer crashes, if your iPhone crashes, you don't just ignore it. Like there's a reason why the damn thing crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Is it bricking
Hmm.
the phones or is there a fix?
Uh, it's just crashing. So I think just rebooting it has been
Oh,
fixing it. Apple denies anything, um, but I don't know.
My iPhone doesn't crash, but I'll tell you what, my Mazda infotainment system crashes all the fucking time with my iPhone plugged in.
Your Mazda infotainment system.
That's a known thing.
How the fuck is that news? Who's got a
I don't
Mazda
know.
infotainment system?
We were talking about crashes, all right? Leave me alone. Gosh.
Your, I'm driving a Mitsubishi this week. It's a cute little
Uh,
son of a bitch.
so here's
John
another quick
John saw it
hot
when we
take.
came out of the hotel because we're staying in the same hotel. He's like, "Is that your thing?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What the hell?" He's got this nice beefy Dodge. What do you get? What'd you get for a rental?
Durango.
Well, but it's like a badass one though, ain't it? I mean, it's
I
got like
mean,
nice,
it's just it's a normal color. It's like a gray, like a dark gray.
nice leather seats
His
and
is as
stuff.
orange as your shirt, and I'm like, yeah, that's just
It's
like pull me over.
Well, and it's like half the size too. This is supposed to be like a mid-size SUV, and I come from back in back home. I'm driving like a full-size truck, and you get into this
Hmm.
thing, and you're like, "The hell is this?"
Let's go
Feels like
race.
I'm driving a tin can. Molly's got to drive it today, and then she drove it to like somewhere. That's my wife. She drove it and then came back, and she's like, "That's the worst car I've ever driven." I'm like, "Ever?"
Mm.
If you know the story of me and Marlis when we met, it was like 2 weeks. We weren't even like serious. Like we're just kind of talking on the phone, kind of shit. And her car got towed and impound, and I had to get it out of impound.
Mm.
And it was the biggest piece of. It wasn't even worth it. Like when we got that car back, and they like it wasn't worth it. So the next time we just left it sit on the street, and then it got towed again, and then we just said fuck it. But that was a bad car. That
Yeah,
this
that's a
isn't
good.
that bad.
It's actually the worst car I've ever driven. I mean, it's the worst car I've ever owned. It was hands down the 1993 Chevy Beretta. But um,
Chevy Beretta, I remember that.
the worst car I've ever driven, my high school girlfriend had an AMC Eagle. Remember those things?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, it was like one
They
of
were
those
four
where
wheel
Those
drive,
things were
right?
dope,
like you
man.
you got up to the stoplight and you had to like 2 foot it and like keep revving it, otherwise it would stall and die and never start again. You had to like let it sit for 20 minutes and then you could start it again.
That's awesome.
That thing was a pain.
Matt, what was the worst car you ever drove?
Worst car I ever drove. Probably the one I started with, the 88 Grand Am 4 door.
Mm.
Hmm. I used to. There was a time when I had a Geo Metro,
Mm.
Oh
which
yeah, all three
was
cylinders
the
of it.
worst car I ever owned or drove, but it was also the best car because I love that thing. I had zero like care for like breaking it. Even if you did break it, like you dented the something, you just pulled it out. Little
You
three
Can I
park it
cylinder.
say,
anywhere.
You could jump it. It was super light. You could
You
pick it
could
up and
jump
move it.
in.
Oh, it was so easy to jump.
can I change mine?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
for
we
free.
had this Humvee. It sucked.
No
It
kidding.
we were in the so whenever you were stateside, your Humvees, the AC, the heat, all that shit would not work. But then as soon as you go overseas, like the heater would fucking work in the desert. It was like complete fucking bullshit. But yeah, in the
He's he's
desert, AC wouldn't work. Pissed me off.
he's a Marine. Did you know that? He's a
I did
Marine.
not know that.
Yeah. So his
Uh,
version of
I was
Humvee is
gonna say,
different
you
than.
know, you driven Humvees, you must you must be a Marine if they didn't
Y-
work properly. They gave all the good
yes.
ones to the Air Force.
Yeah, we have a lot of shit. Yeah. I
All
have
right.
another thing to add real
No,
quick on the
Matt.
privacy
Fuck, you
thing.
got the show notes, man. What the fuck,
Okay,
dude?
fine. You
Why are you
got to
always
add
changing?
one. What the fuck?
It's my fucking show, bitch.
Okay, okay. Enough
Wow.
said.
No, I'm just kidding.
Enough said.
What's your thing? No,
Mom and
what's
dad
your
are
thing?
I,
fighting. I'm scared.
I'm sad now.
No, don't be sad, man. You know I didn't mean it.
Um,
I just get upset
so
sometimes.
it's just a question because I don't have the article. I don't remember where it was, but someone is right now working to develop an app to make public to use the data from plate readers to be
Oh
able to
yeah.
like search for people.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Seems kind of like I should take the plate off my car now, like
Yeah.
everyone else.
Come to
Female
Mexico.
bartenders around the world who get off at 3 a.m. fucking hate this idea.
Yeah,
Yeah. Come to Mexico.
that's the answer.
I'm
Always.
telling you, man. The more shit that goes wrong up north here, it's like the more I appreciate it. It's like plate readers. Most Mexican cars don't even have plates.
And nobody can read them anyway.
No,
Yeah.
it's like totally cool. And if you get pulled over, it's 500 pesos
That's 500 pesos. It sure
every
is.
time. 500 pesos, it's like 30 bucks US.
Riker's first car was a Chevy Celebrity diesel. He used to jump it over
Ooh.
railroad tracks.
Oh
Damn,
man, the
that
celebrity
would be
diesel,
fun.
that's a deep cut. That was a gangster car. Love it.
Yeah, I would like that. Can we still get one of those?
I've never even heard of it before. I have to look this up.
I didn't know. I never heard of it either. But just the concept sounds cool as hell. So
That's awesome.
yeah. All right, let's move on to the next segment. Matt, are you ready, or do you have another thing?
No, I'm good
No
now.
more
Thank
things.
you.
No, I want to. I feel bad because I got done. I
I'm
jumped on your
good. I
shit.
appreciate you. Oh, okay. I
Yeah, do
thought
you have another thing? See, you fucking guy. All right, what do you got?
I'm just no. I'm just looking at the car. It looks like a lot of the other cars that looked like that.
Oh, all right. All right. So here's the main topic for the night. So check on your strong friends, and I think it's awesome that John has been joining in the conversation because that's really cool shit. But this is like, I think, cooler shit even. Um, so this isn't like your usual just cyber rant. We do that shit all the time. It's easy to do that stuff. But tonight, I think it's let's get a little real to the point where you feel comfortable. Like we don't want to get weird and shit. That's weird and shit. But if you follow
Turn
the
down
blog,
the lights.
no, dude, no, no, no. go get you go get some of our friends to come in, and we can just have a
Well, the candlelight visual
yeah.
to our
Because
flight.
we're here in the FR Scare office, and there's like you walk in, and what there was like 40, 50 people over there.
Yeah, if a bomb hits this place, we're screwed.
Yeah,
Our entire pen testing and incident
yeah, it's all the
response
red
team is
team.
all in one room.
Yeah, it's true. They're playing games. The all right. So what was I saying? Oh no, no, we're not getting weird like that, Matt. But but we've been diving into this mental health thing. We still got some more talks to do. This is like part like I don't know 5, 6, 7 or something like that on this 10-part series. And I think it's important because people don't talk about this shit enough. I mean, we don't want to obsess about it and get all weird, but the real issues. You know what I mean? And I think it's important to talk about. So tonight's theme is check on your strong friends because they really are the ones that carry weight for us. I know for me, and so when I thought about this topic, I was like, John is like what he was saying when he started. Like I'm this weird guy, visionary thing, but John makes shit happen. You know what I mean? And so he has to deal with the frustration. I think sometimes of like people's shit getting shit done. You know what I mean? And so anyway, that's why I wanted to talk about this stuff. So, high performer. John, you've always been a high performer, in my opinion. What's it feel like to, and share what you want to share, but it's got to be a lot of pressure. Some days where it's just like, what the fuck? And I remember one thing you said to me that resonate, because a lot of things you say to me like resonate. Uh, and you said everybody always asks like, how's my wife doing? How are my kids doing? How is this doing? But really rare, if ever, do they ask how I'm doing, right? And so ever since you said that, and that was only like a few weeks ago, I've been thinking like, yeah, I want to check in on John, see how John's doing, because you carry shit like all of us
Yeah,
do.
and I don't know. It was I think in that that comment was more of an observation. Like I wasn't looking for anything. It was just like, yeah, it's kind of indicative of what we were talking about. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Come to think of it, like there's just not a whole lot of concern, for people in my life who I feel like have it all together. It's just like, oh, they're good. You look up to them. They got it so they got it all figured out. Like, what could they possibly need? They've got it all, kind of thing. Yeah, I was preparing for this. There was something I read or heard, or I don't even remember. I'll probably attribute it to somebody that matters. But the sentiment is basically you can't be everything to everybody and nothing to yourself, right? And so it's this dance, this balance that you do as somebody who gives a shit, a lot about a lot of things and wants to be of service and wants to spend your time in the service of others and to be not nobody's perfect, but you're kind of one of those people that constantly is removing imperfections from things that you do.
Hmm.
And, that you just sometimes sacrifice a little too much, maybe. You stop caring about yourself as much. You're like, it doesn't matter as much as other people's happiness or the service that you're providing them. Um, and, that can lead you down some pretty tough paths, I think. And it gets more pronounced for me anyway when I feel like um, things are out of my control. Like so. I mean, for context, Matt, like my son was in a horrific car accident about 3 months ago. He got T-boned by a giant truck driving a 2001 Honda Accord, shattered his pelvis, ICU for 10 days. Just a horrible, horrible situation. Now, fast forward all this time, he's playing golf already. You know what I mean? Like 3 months later, I just saw him. He walked up the stairs to meet us at dinner, and he's doing great. But he's young. He was healthy, had no pre-existing health conditions or anything that would stifle this recovery. But many surgeries and a lot of hospital hours later, and he's still a year of physical therapy away from being, good and figuring out what he can do and what he can't do. Still a road to recovery, but he's miles ahead of the game at this point. And during that time, it was very apparent to me. I'm happy to play the role, but it was just like an expectation of like, um, I got to take care of everything. Like, no matter what else happens, I got to be the backstop. I got to be the unbreakable thing in everybody's life during this time, and I'm not allowed to show any kind of
Is that
chinks in
because
the
you're
armor.
is that because you're seeing other people kind of showing those chinks, you think, or is it just something you're naturally driven to just do?
Yeah, like a little both. To be fair, I like the role. It's fine. I'm not lamenting it, right? But in this particular situation, more so than others, I think perhaps this more pronounced was I was not okay. Like after we got the call. I live in central Montana, right? He lives in the Minneapolis area. He would have to go to the hospital in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and so it took us 15 hours, to get there. And after all of that, you walk into the room and you just see him for the first time. He's laid out in bed. He's got tubes coming out of him. He's got stitches. He's beaten up, and they don't know if he's brain dead. They don't know anything yet. And that's just something you can't unsee. You know what I mean? Like it's something. It's very traumatic. It sucks. Nothing compared to what he's going through, but just laying your eyes on somebody you love that much and being so helpless, you give anything to change places with them. but you can obviously, and you kind of go about your business and you deal with it. But you're everybody else is processing something, you can't, because you got to be there to facilitate everybody else's processing.
Mhm.
That makes sense. But eventually it comes and you
100.
have to process it. And I guess I'm call me untrained, um, not comfortable with, not experienced with allowing other people to help me process.
Yeah.
But I think had I been better trained, better prepared, more willing to, I probably would have processed it better than I did.
Well, like I said, you're one of the strongest people I know, for sure. And it's a huge blessing to have you in my life because I know, for me, when I need somebody to talk to, man, I can talk to you. And you usually have a very pragmatic, like logic based approach, which is the way I like it, right? I'm not a big feelings thing, but we still have feelings. We still have to deal with them. And you've told me before, sometimes it gets heavy. And one of the things that I wonder about myself and I wonder about other, strong people and certainly you, why do you think it is that high performers are often the last people to ask for help? Because it seems like we're the last ones. And maybe it's making sure everybody's
And
okay first or what? I don't know.
it's a good question. I don't know that I have a straightforward answer other than to say, I think, you mentioned before, like pressure, right?
Mhm.
And, agree or disagree with this. I don't think pressure and the ability to handle it, or stress and the ability to handle it, or even physical pain and the ability to handle it is an innate human thing. I think it's something that is built upon over time, right? You kind of start out with whatever tolerance you have, and unfortunately some people learn these lessons very early. They go through really terrible experiences and they have to galvanize a little bit. But in our context, if you're talking about just professionally, um, I think that if you took somebody straight out of college or something, and even though they could be the smartest person in the world, even though they could build the skill set to do what I do, I don't think they can handle the pressure. I don't think they're relationally able to do the things that I do because they haven't been able to build that tolerance, right? So I used to be a fighter, and the when they talk about getting into fighting shape, right? There's actually something that happens when you punch something over and over and over and over again. Your bones
Nerve
actually,
damage.
your bones break, right? There's like
Mm.
these little micro fractures. Your bones are built like sponges. Everybody thinks they're like
Mhm.
hard as wood, but they're not. They're like little sponges, and the little tiny chambers inside your bones fracture, and then when they heal, they get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right? And that makes the bones harder and harder and harder and harder, which means that if you train enough over the course of a few years, even, you can punch harder without injuring yourself than you
Mhm.
can when you started, right? Your bones and your joints and your tendons and your nerves and your muscles and everything, you just handle more and more and more because you keep breaking them and breaking them and breaking them, and they heal and heal and heal.
That's why my
And I
skull
think
is so hard.
that's
I,
what's that?
I gotta
That's why my
start
skull is
punching.
so hard.
For sure. But I
I
think
gotta
that's
start
true.
punching the wall tonight. 100 every day.
But I think that's true when it comes to being able to handle stress or pressure, or even psychological, kind of resilience. It comes from practice. You start with. I remember the first night I had to fire. I
Mm.
remember that. I worked in trucking. It was like kind of my first career. Truck drivers are always banging into things, and we were a training company that I worked for, and it was just like I remember like losing sleep, like literally physically getting sick, before I had to do it, even though it was the most justified thing in the world and it was the most straightforward thing in the world, and I totally understood it and I got it. I just couldn't. It was too much for me,
Mm.
all these years later, and having fired how many people, which is never comfortable. I don't enjoy it. I'm not looking forward to it, but it I don't lose sleep over it.
You fired your best friend
I did,
because it
you
was the
know,
right thing to do. But man, that was ballsy.
and the mental gymnastics and the emotional gymnastics you go through, that you just get a little sharper, a little sharper, a little sharper. And I don't know, somebody listening to this to say, well, you're just bargaining away your humanity or whatever. But it's like, no, I just think you just build a resilience to it. You get to conclusions faster. You connect the synapses a little quicker, and you get through it. And I think when you're kind of the salty veteran of being able to handle stress and pressure, among your peer group, when things that cause stress and pressure come up, they naturally assume that you're going to be just fine because, man, you've been through worse or you've been through similar. And of all the people that can handle it, you can handle it. And I don't think it's binary. I don't think you either handle it or don't handle it.
Yeah.
Do you think
You know,
it's related to like fight or flight? So I feel like in the fight or flight state, it's similar to stress, or it's probably very close, and we could enjoy or get addicted to being in that state. I feel like that's what I'm learning about myself coming from the military. Like we were trained to be in that state all the time. It's either go or not, you know. So
mhm.
now when I'm overworking or I'm stressed, it's like normal. I feel like I'm more productive. I feel like I'm sleeping better, but it's just a lie to myself.
I think
Like a denial.
that's a
Yeah.
very astute observation. And I think that people like us, left unchecked by good people and wise counsel and, people who care around you, will manufacture drama in order to feel that kind of dopamine hit, to get
Oh
that
yeah,
feeling.
addicts do that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's let me cause a problem so I can fix it, you know. So you got to not do that to people. You
One
know
of the
what I
I
mean?
best
think there's a lot of
That's
IT
taking it too
people.
far. Yeah.
There's a
one of
lot
the
of
best.
IT people that do that. They don't want to fix the root cause so they can keep fixing it
Hmm.
so they feel like they're important.
Managing symptoms instead of the ailment. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
One of
very
the best
astute,
pieces
I
of
think.
advice I got when I was getting clean from alcohol was from it was get comfortable with the mundane
Yeah.
because as an addict we like drama. I mean, we cause drama, we create drama, and
It's
so
not
then getting
working,
this
Evan.
comfortable. No, shut the fuck up, man.
It's not working for me.
You know, no, you are the drama in my life. I swear. But there's a couple of points, that things that I thought about when you were saying that. Because one is, in our industry, when you ask new people you know, what do they want to be in this industry? You hear it over and over and over again. Well, I want to be a CISO someday, and it's like, why? Number one, right? You should be in this game for the right reason. And number two, do you realize that not everybody's built for it? Like some people are just not built to be the strong ones. That's just the way it is. You can continue to beat your head against it and try as hard as you can to train yourself to be it, but sometimes you just don't have it. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
This may be my blue collar upbringing coming out here, but I believe everybody. I mean, unless you're like severely limited cognitively, or you're just not going to connect these synapses. Like you can't do math, right? Like there's just some limitations maybe that you have, but I don't believe that anybody's incapable
Mm.
of doing it. I don't think they're willing to go through what it takes to get there,
That's maybe it. But then
right?
does that also mean then that if they're not willing to go through it, maybe you just don't have it still. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they're just making this cascading decisions that prevent them from getting to where they want to
Yeah.
be. But I ask that a lot too. I'm a CEO now, so I get hit up on LinkedIn. Like people want to talk. How do whatever. And I went to a school where it was one of those schools. Like if somebody reaches out, that's also an alumni.
Mhm.
You have to take the meeting. It's like a part of that community. So it's graduation season. So I'll get hit up on LinkedIn all the time. Oh, you're CEO. Like, how did it happen? Tell me your story. How do I get there? And I always ask, like, why in the world would you want to do this job? Like, I don't get it. Like, is it just money? Is it like what?
Right.
What do you? I don't understand how you can be not have a career yet and feel like you one day want to do this job. This happened almost to me. It's not anything that I was seeking. It was just
Mhm.
a response to the stimuli that I had at the time, and these micro decisions that you make to either take it on or not, right? To build yourself or not. It wasn't a well thought out plan that one day I was going to be the CEO of something. In fact, it was something that I kind of rejected. I never really wanted. So, I have a hard time with that, man. I want to be a CISO one day. I'm like, what a shitty job. Why would you want to do that? Like I don't get it, but
Well, I think
If
that's why it's
you, I
important
feel
to
like
ask them.
CISOs are like reluctant heroes, man. They're just like, well, nobody else will fucking do it. I guess I'll do it. You know, I owe it to everybody, the industry, the world, the humanity. I know what I know, and for me to not act is an injustice. It's not anything I can live with, that I know is something and I can't serve in this way. I have to do it. It's a calling, right? We're Christian guys, like we know that feeling of, man, God wants me to do this. Shit,
Yeah,
it's
that
not
happens a
really
lot.
what I had in mind,
Right.
but you kind of got to do it because God said so, and just try your best at it. I don't always know that what I do pleases God, but I hope that I want to please Him pleases Him. You know.
Well, and I like how you shared, because a lot of times you find yourself in places. It's like, how the fuck did I get here? You know what I mean? Like over the years, and that's I think at this stage of my life, you try to share wisdom because wisdom is gained through painful experience, not just experience. It's got to be painful. And so you've had enough painful experiences to try to share it with other people. Like, try to avoid this shit because it sucks. I mean, if you talk about like the incident responses over the years, where like you just see a lot of people fold, right? Because it's like shit's on the line right now, and like buck up. But then you have to put things in perspective. I think another thing about strong people is they have a really good you, because I always learn from people, right? I mean, I learned so much from you, watching the way you lead, watching the way you know go against these things. You always have this really good ability to put things into perspective, right? You can, and maybe this is part of the learning process too. Like, nobody's going to die right now. I mean, like in an incident response, and you're doing whatever, you, unless somebody is going to die. But then, even then, you can put that in perspective. It's like this way of thinking things beyond the current thing. I don't know
Hmm.
if that makes any sense. But then I know another thing is people who we fool ourselves sometimes into thinking that we strong and silent kind of go together. And like if you show any vulnerability, and I'm speaking more to the probably not directly to you, but more to listeners, that if you show any vulnerability, you're weak. And
Mm.
that's bullshit. It really is bullshit. It's so fucking destructive to yourself and the people around you, your family. Being weak is not, I mean, talking, right? Working through these things, processing these things. You got to find the right people, right? My wife is like the mega thing for me, where I go and I can share anything with her because I can be vulnerable with her and I know she's not going to use it against me.
Hmm.
So I think when you're strong, it's like you got to be careful who you share things with, but you do have to fucking share things, right?
Yeah, I mean, feel free to disagree, but I think that that's an important, being relational and being in relationship is a necessary part of the job, but also it's a necessary part of your role as one of those resilient people in people's, in life, right? It's like you have to have this network of people that, yeah, there's different levels of engagement with, right? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, to address something you said before, like the weakness thing, right?
Mhm.
um, there's a swagger, right? You have to have at some instances, like, hey, even at my weakest, I'm still stronger than you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So, like, for anybody else, anybody looking out there to take advantage of a situation or to pounce on, some kind of weakness or like whatever, like, one hand tied behind my back, I'm still gonna knock you the fuck out. So,
Right.
like, that's a part of like building your own resilience and in your attitude. But I think, yeah, my wife is one of those people. You're one of those people where it's like, yeah, I can talk about, like, don't get the ick, or you're just like, oh, John's lost it. What's going on? It's just like, oh, okay, it's a moment in time. It's another way of being a service. It's, whatever. Like,
And
you just
dude,
people you trust to not take advantage of the
you know me well
situation.
enough that even if you did lose it, I'm still here for you, man. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like we all got shit. I mean, there's nobody who's so strong that you're above all the shit. Nobody's that way. Jesus, that's it.
No. God, I saw a tweet. It's been a while ago now. I think I maybe saw it on Reddit because the response was hilarious. And it was like somebody who was like, "Man, the sunscreen's for a bunch of bitches," and all this other stuff. Like, I don't wear sunscreen. Fuck this sunscreen shit. And somebody commented like, "Imagine being thinking that you're tougher than the sun,
Right.
like the sun." It's like, hey, like, yeah, all the posturing and all the, you can be really stupid about
Yeah.
it. But I think, to your point, it is important to be in a relationship with people in order to be a stronger leader, to be a better service to people, to have these conversations without fear of judgment or being taken advantage of, or of, kind of tipping over a little bit.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you get in an echo chamber, you get in your own head. That's how narcissistic personalities come out.
Mhm.
You start to
Good point.
justify things that are just horrible in your reach for having control over something or everything, whether artificial or real. Um, it's important to have accountability partners in your life that tell you like, hey man, it's okay to like take a couple of weeks off. You don't have to be the man for 2 weeks. Like,
Right.
just get right. My getting right is I got to go to the woods. I love camping. I love fishing. I love cutting down trees and burning them. I like like that's kind of what I like to do. And I
I like sleeping during deer hunting. It's real easy to do.
yeah, we all have our thing, and sometimes I hate to say it, it's like I need permission to go do that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk
I
about
need
this. Let's talk about how self denial, you guys talk about how self denial is glorified in leadership, especially in information security. Sleep less, work more, suck it up. We've seen it in teams that we've worked in. We've seen it in conferences. We've seen it in our friends. How have you seen that show up, Matt, for you, John? Have you seen that? How have you seen that um, in our own teams or in teams that you've
so
witnessed?
I actually have following on that a question for Matt. Right, the getting back to like the manufacturing drama, the
Mhm.
dealing with symptoms, and that kind of thing. This ever present need to be perceived of value. You know what I mean?
Totally.
I
Mhm.
mean, is that kind of like? I guess I'm asking. I'm
Yes,
trying
I
not to make
feel
say
that.
or put words in your mouth, but it's like that fuels a lot of this attitude of overwork and overcommitment.
Mhm.
Maybe, I mean, I don't know how to put a measurement on it, but like that, all go no quit, balls out. I don't sleep until I'll sleep when I'm dead. I got to fix this kind of attitude.
I used to say
I
that when
kind
I
of
was
have a
younger.
different feeling
Now I
about
can't say
sleep.
that anymore.
I mean, I do like my sleep, so I'm like, I'll go till crash and then, sleep. Um, but yeah, definitely this whole I don't know where it comes from. It could be related to the other things, but I definitely feel I have to keep bringing value. Like even if other people can't keep up, like I just have to keep more and more and more, and people probably get annoyed. Um, I I think it could come from military service, but I think like an analogy I was using the other day, like I'm in the ocean driving a jet ski, and organizations and teams are on like fucking freighter ships. So I can like pivot and turn and change quickly, and they're just like taking forever to even see where I'm at. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Mhm.
It
Good
probably
point.
Well,
fits somewhere.
it speaks to a choice you've made to not be dependent on anybody else. Because if you're in the freighter, you're dependent on an entire team of people to determine where you're going, right?
Hmm.
But if you're on a jet ski by yourself, as long as you got the fuel, you can go wherever you want.
Yeah, but you also won't go as far or carry or be as effective, right? So you got to figure out how to work on that team, unless that's all you want to do is ride the damn jet ski.
Oh,
Because I'm
you
an only
guys are
child.
like,
I'm the jet ski guy. I'm an only child. Like
you guys are
I'm fine
deep,
being alone.
man. You're poking some. You're
See that
poking some
I deal
things.
with
You're
this, man.
deep.
This is like the
I
valuable
feel like
shit.
I'm just trying to enjoy the jet ski, and you're poking out like
Well,
things in my life. That's pretty awesome.
so there's a book that I read recently and heard like it was doing like a half day workshop with the author, and it's classic CEO shit. I went to a conference and now it's all I can think about, right? but it's what is it called? The seven, not deadly sins. That's not what it is. Um,
Dwarfs.
no, I gotta find this now. It's like it has to do with like the hierarchy of needs. It's like
Oh,
behind every what were you gonna say?
Maslov.
Yeah, Maslow, right? But it's not him, but it's like basically every behavior has an emotion behind it, and behind every emotion is an unmet need, right? So it's this primal question is what it's called, right? And so he's got this like little quiz. It's a very simple thing, oversimplified almost, right? But it tells you like what drives your emotions that therefore drives your behaviors. What need is not being met that
Yeah, I'm gonna take
you're
that
doing these
assessment
things.
after this.
Yeah,
Just
so
from
I thought it was really interesting in its simplicity because it didn't take. It's not like disc where you got to take like 12 hours freaking quizzes and answer 9 million questions. It was like a dozen questions, and you're like, oh, so the reason why I act out and am self-destructive, and at times when I'm feeling depressed is because um, I'm angry or I'm feeling negative in a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because I'm not feeling loved,
Mm.
or it's maybe I don't feel safe.
Right.
Right, I just don't feel like I'm in a place where I'm my need is being met, or I don't feel like I'm
See,
in
that's
an environment where I'm making a difference. Right,
see,
there's
that's
all these
beautiful
needs.
because you don't hear strong people say things like, "I don't feel safe. I don't feel loved."
Mhm.
But that's one of the things that I think that's the myth is like I'm strong. I don't need to be loved. You know what I mean? That's bullshit because
Mhm.
it's this self-awareness that you have that I think lends to you being as strong as you are. This looking for like why do I behave this way? Why do I do these things? And then just trying to like be a better person as opposed to I think a lot of people think that strength when they're doing these destructive things, they just live in this denial. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter that why I do what I do. I just do what I do because I'm fucking strong.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
you're
burning,
bargaining it
you're
away,
dying. Right.
right? It's like people are like, well, somebody's got to get rid of the toxic waste. It might as well be me. And
Right.
you do these horrible illegal things. You see it all the time, right? Like from petty crime and all the way up to kingpins and all that.
Hmm.
Actually, another really good book if you guys haven't read it, American Kingpin, about Ross Ulbricht, the guy who started the Silk Road.
Hmm. Yeah.
Give that a read, definitely. Follows that same kind of mentality of like it started out as an experiment, an idea around his distaste for the government's restriction of people's freedoms.
that guy's
Right?
getting released, by the way.
Yeah, he got pardoned.
Yeah,
Would you
He got a
believe me
life
if
sentence plus 40 years, and then he got pardoned after like 12 years.
would you believe me if I told you that I purchased a domain name with his credit card number?
With Ross Ulbricht's credit card number.
Hmm.
Interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't believe you.
No, I was totally lying.
So
No.
two
So
truths and a lie.
Yeah.
the the
Could I
denial
have done it?
thing.
Maybe, but no, I don't have better things to do.
Yeah. So anyway, like that, the self awareness. I think there was this thing that I had when I was, well, I don't know, my teenage, like early 20s, right? There was this win at all costs, like killer instinct that I had, or it wasn't enough for me to win. Somebody had to lose. And it made me very effective as an athlete, and doing the things that I was doing and everything. And I don't know what happened. Maybe I got hit in the head too much. Maybe God touched me or whatever it was. I just lost it. I didn't have it anymore,
Yeah.
and it became less important that somebody lose, and then it became not important at all.
Right.
But I still like to win. I still want to win. But now I want everybody to win. I want want to. It's
Yeah.
more altruistic. It's more holistic. It's you want to win on a team. You want to contribute and all those kinds of things. And so you start to change your trajectory a little bit. And so the toughest times for me, I think, are when you're doing all the right things and
Hmm.
you're doing them for all the right reasons and you're still not winning.
Yeah. Yep. That's that. But
That's the worst for me.
but if you you know yeah, I mean, and having people around you that can support you in that stuff, when you don't see it, right? That's that perspective thing because just sometimes shit just goes to shit, right? And you're doing the right things, but that's life, you know what I mean? And to have somebody there like you as a friend of mine or Kevin, my work wife who love-hate relationship, I don't know if I'm loving him or hating him, but God, I'm so grateful that he's in my life because I need that, right? And my wife.
Hmm.
So you be this strong person, but even the strong people have strong people around them,
The
and they,
strongest people have strong people around them.
right. Because there's this other thing, this I'm fine lie. When you
Mm.
talk to people and you're like, hey, how you doing? You check in on somebody because you haven't heard from them for a while or whatever. And you get that classic, I'm fine. I do that to my wife a lot. Hi, how you doing? I'm fine.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm not. You know what I mean? So that phrase can be the biggest damn red flag when you talk to somebody and they say you're fine. That should be a
I've
red flag.
started I've started to not use it intentionally. I've been telling people like, yeah, it's rough. I'm recovering from burnout. I'm trying like answering like that, and people are like confused. I think they disengage faster.
Well,
Yeah.
but we've been trained to hide it. We've been trained, especially if you are that strong person for somebody else.
Hmm.
You've been trained to hide it. I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Well, it's usually an indication too that the people are asking that question and then getting confused or not emotionally intelligent enough to see what's going on, and that doesn't make them bad people. It just makes them emotionally unintelligent,
Yeah,
right?
they are
But
where they are.
exactly, So actually, today I was talking to somebody that I know pretty well, and I know her parents pretty well, and I'd seen them in a while. She said, "Hey, how your folks doing?" And she goes, "They're okay." I went, "That's different." Normal she'll tell me, "Oh, they're good. My mom's doing her craft thing. My dad's doing this." And, like she would, would tell me a little something. She goes, "They're okay." I went, "What's up?" She's like, "My dad got laid off this week, lost his job." I was like, "That sucks. I'm sorry. Is everything okay? Did he get a severance? Like, what was, what's next? Connect me with him. I like to talk to him, kind of thing." And, that little change, because you'd be like, "They're okay." "Oh, good."
Right. Well,
"No,
and that's
not
and
good.
that's
Okay. You said okay, and I said good." And
right.
so when I say I'm fine, you're like, "Good." No, you've upgraded me. I said I'm fine.
Right.
That's
Well,
not
and
what,
that's the tip for the listeners. The listeners, when you check in with your strong friends, look for those signs.
yeah.
Right. Look for the sign of deflection or the lie, like I'm fine.
Hmm.
If if that's what they always say, and it's kind of just the normal baseline sort of thing, and maybe you inquire more, whatever. But in a lot of cases, I think it is a like even if I asked you, like, how you doing? And you just say, I'm fine. That's not normal. There's
Well,
something more there. And I would that and for our listeners, look for things like that because that's the lie.
here's the thing. If you I love this. There's this quote by Christian Bale, the
Hmm.
actor. He said, "If you have a problem with me, but you don't have my cell phone number, so you can tell me you have a problem with me, then I don't care."
Hmm.
Basically, it's just like then your problem doesn't matter. You couldn't possibly have a problem with me,
Right.
right? But it's kind of like, hey, you know me well enough, to know when I say like, "Yeah, I'm fine." It's because I'm busy and I want you to go the fuck away.
Sometimes,
Like,
yeah.
just leave me alone right now. Like, I don't want to discuss it. Like, that's one kind of fine. The
Right.
other one is, "Hey, I'm fine." And the follow up question is like, "Okay, what does that mean?"
Right.
Like, my family well enough, other things are going on enough. You can ask follow up
But
questions.
I knew
You
you
could
well
even
enough.
ask me, "Are you just telling me to fuck off right now? Or are you like, you
Right.
want to share something? You want to talk about it? Like,
But that's
whatever."
the relationship thing, right? I know you
Yeah.
well enough that if you're telling me you're fine because you want me to go the fuck away,
Mhm.
you would just say that. If I kept asking, you'd be like, hey,
Yeah, I'm fine. Now's not a good time. I'll call you later.
because I mean, you've said that shit to me before in meetings, you know what I mean? And it's like, because I don't know, there's like these boundaries that you set up with each other, right? And they're built out of respect. They're not built out of power or control. It's like line, respect, and then if I cross it again, you're like, hey, the fuck,
Yeah,
you know?
but a part of that self-awareness, I think a part of strength too is being self-aware enough to know when you're deflecting, when you should be accepting,
Right.
and asking questions like, what do I have to learn from this?
Mhm.
This shitty time I'm going through in my life, or this great time I'm going through in my life, or these people that I'm in relationship with that I maybe appreciate or don't, or whatever, right? Like, what do I have to learn? How can I be better? How can I be stronger? How can I, like unpacking that a little bit. Why am I on a
Mhm.
jet ski and not the ship? Like
Not gonna let it
it's
go. I get it.
Yeah.
yeah, good man.
Because you're
I'm
I
not,
sure I'm sure you're fine on your jet ski, but we're gonna keep
yeah.
asking. But
I've heard of couples using a numbering system. Like when you get home from work, instead of saying like "How are you?" like "Where are you at?" "I'm a 1," or "I'm a 7," "I'm a 5." Kind of lets the other person know, leave them alone, let them recharge, chip in, do some things, or we're good. Let's do some things. I don't know if there's other systems like that that people use, or maybe you guys use, but I've heard of people using that.
well, and I think when you're checking with your strong friends, depending on who they are, there's nothing to stop them from lying about that too. You know what I mean? It's like observing your friends is, I think it's a sign of love. I care deeply about John, and I know that John, despite how strong he thinks he is, there's weakness. We've all got weakness, and I want to be there for him because I fucking love him. Not to take advantage of him, not anything like that. And I think that's what we should all do more of is like pay attention. Just because they're strong, it's so easy just to check it out as like, well, it's just John. He's fucking strong. He can handle it.
look, and I probably can, and most of us probably can.
Right.
You know what I mean? But why would you if you didn't have to?
Right.
So I find that that ease of stress and everything in nature and in relationships, right? That's
Mhm.
that's where I find it. And so, in anticipation for this discussion too, I was asking myself like, what's a better question instead of how are you or how you been or how you doing? Like, are there questions that you guys ask the people in your lives when you really want a real answer? How do you phrase it? Like, what do you do? Or is it a series of questions, or is it a different approach altogether?
What the fuck's up, Chuck? Fuck. I got 24 hours in today, so you better tell me. I don't know. I guess it depends on the relationship, right? I mean, there's no like one way. Like the strong people in my life, I treat you like you. I have other strong people in my life that the way I talk to you, I don't talk to them. It's I think you have to customize it to who that person is because there's certain things, I want to know the language that works for you. Like I remember when we did the love languages, it sounds weird,
Mhm.
right? But it was like my love language is words of affirmation. So you could give me all kinds of gifts and shit. I don't feel loved by that, but you tell me like, "Hey, good job." I'm like, "I feel loved." And so we took that to the our executive team, so I could figure out what their love languages were. So then I could figure out how to show you love. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So the strong people, but I think the biggest thing for me is you just have to invest in it, invest in the relationship. If they're a friend, you won't mind doing it. You'll find joy in doing it. And I know that I don't do it for the return, but I get twice as much back every time.
You just got some loves for that one, Evan.
What? I got loved for what? What I do?
You got love the hearty things in the chat thing for what you just said.
Oh,
It
excellent.
resonated with somebody.
Somebody's listening to me. This is beautiful. This is so much better than the other strong person in my life, my wife. This is great. All right. So, how to actually show up? What do strong friends actually need? A lot of times, it's not a rescue. I find that my strong friends don't want me to necessarily fix their problems. What they often want is just my presence. just to be there. I don't have any fucking answers, but I care and I love you, and I know you're strong enough to figure it out yourself, and you're smart and whatever. But ask again, mean it, give space without judgment. You know, there's fuck. I mean, I'm so fucked up as it is. You know what I mean? Who am I to judge? Something that you're struggling with, or something that Matt's struggling with. Be consistent. I think is super important. But if when I think of times that's it's been the most to me, it's been when people have just showed up, just showed they cared.
Yeah. Like you reminded me of something like ever. This is like a meme at this point, right? Where like your wife ever tell you about something that's going on and you try to fix it.
Oh God,
That was like the wrong thing to do.
you
It's
just
like I just want you to listen and tell me that that sucks and give me a hug. I don't need you to give me a solution. Like stop
well,
it.
I found that whatever rage she had at the problem that she was telling me about now all becomes directed at me when I try to solve that problem. It's like,
Why
oh
didn't you just do
shit,
this?
oh God, no.
It's
And
like you're
sometimes
not wrong. You're just an asshole.
exactly, but like you said, sometimes I have to ask. Like I don't, I don't want to. I don't want to. If you don't want me to fix a problem, I don't want to fix a problem. So sometimes I'll just ask my wife. Do you want help or just venting? I mean, that's cool. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because sometimes I miss the signs and shit. But a lot of times you'll pick up the signs, I guess, if I'm paying attention. And I don't have my head down on work or whatever. All right. So, Matt, you got anything to add on that? Like just showing up. You know, do you have strong friends in your life that you check in on?
No, we're pretty set on this I'm alone on a jet ski thing.
That's true.
So
Well, I
I
was gonna,
finished
so,
the
let me
primal
ask you.
thing. I already
Yeah, I
got my
saw that.
primal question. Yeah.
Am I wanted
Well, and
Hmm.
just a word of
for the primal
advice,
thing?
Matt, on that jet ski, stay the fuck out of the way of this big freight thing.
Well, when
We're
I
gonna
was
run you over
down
and we
in
aren't even gonna know
Mexico,
it.
when I was down by you, I rode a jet ski for the first time. That's hard as fuck.
First time?
It it's harder to read the so I drive ATV. Reading the ground, it's pretty easy, but reading the water, fuck that. That's harder, yo.
Oh yeah. I got some jet ski stories I can share with you at a later date.
So, Matt,
I'm
who's the strongest person that you know other than yourself?
uh I mean probably my mom, even though like I don't like I think she's hiding being strong
And do you
or
have
That's cool.
like how's the relationship there? Do you feel comfortable? Like,
terrible.
yeah,
Mm.
we're not gonna unpack it. I'm just like, what's the nature? Because like I
Mhm.
like Evan's the strongest person I know for sure. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's kind of like this mutual thing that we have. We found each other in the universe, right?
Mhm.
It's pretty amazing.
It's
And
magical.
It
well, yeah,
really
we
is.
I mean we have a pretty plain spoken way with each other, and without judgment and all that. Share a lot of values and things. But I wonder how many strong people don't have anything even close to that.
It's a good question, man.
Before I met you, I'd argue my stepdad,
Hmm.
and he still is in a lot of ways. But um, man, getting that man to open up is like prying a diamond in half with your bare
Hmm.
hands. It's just not a thing.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm close to, I mean there's probably two people.
Mm. Two people.
Yeah, yeah.
Dos.
Mhm.
Dos
Dos personas.
personas.
Yeah, I speak Spanish.
See.
Well, we
See.
talk a lot of.
Bueno.
I'm in a group of other, CEOs, presidents, owners of businesses and stuff like that. We get pretty deep. We talk about these things. Do you ever get? You guys ever get that feeling like you're not allowed to have any complaints?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like a.
I don't give a shit. I'll complain anyway.
But yeah, like it's a weird thing to like this separation that I feel sometimes from friends that I have, or even family members or whatever, where you're just like, oh man, I had just a really tough day today, and man, I don't know, like I'm just kind of out of it. I just need a minute. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And they're like, what do you have to complain about? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
almost like a You
Yeah.
live this charmed life. You got a maid. You got this.
Yeah.
You got that. Like, how could you? How could you possibly be stressed out? You have everything.
Yeah.
I
It's
suppose
like,
my mom
oh,
treats me that way. She just doesn't say it.
Well,
yeah.
the two things I learned that I've shared with you and we've reinforced in each other is, the wind blows the strongest at the top of the mountain. So as this, I mean, if you want to climb this mountain, it gets harder and harder, right? And that's a lot of the reason why, why do you want to be a CISO? Why do you want to be CEO? Why do you want to be this? Because along with that, if you want to do it right and you want to, I think, be effective at it, it's hard.
Hmm.
There's a reason why, I mean, there's a reason why, uh, there's so much more burnout, I think, in leadership positions, and the length of tenure generally isn't very long because it's hard. And the second thing is that it's lonely at the top
Hmm.
of the mountain. Nobody else knows what it's like to be in my seat. Nobody knows what it's like to be in John's seat. It's so unique. Like, look up a job description for CEO. It's all over the fucking place. There's no one job description for CEO.
It
There's general things like culture, you know, tactical or day-to-day
fiduciary
operations.
responsibility,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. It's funny, yeah. You're right. I've not seen a sensible description of that job ever.
That's because when
Really,
I
I
was in
mean,
your
it doesn't explain it. There's no way.
when I was in your seat, I Googled it because I'm like, okay, I'm CEO now because I
What am I
promoted you to
supposed
president.
to be doing?
Yeah, so I promoted you to president. I'm like, oh, I'm CEO now. What the hell does that mean? I Googled it. I'm like, I still don't know what the fuck I do.
Well, and I think it gets even less comical in the, you know, um, IT and security industries
Mm,
too, right? Because the people who are writing those job descriptions and the people who have an expect, they have no idea how to have an expectation,
right.
for what you. So, I mean, it. I feel for you guys. So, sometimes when you're coming up in your career, I'm like, I spent a fair amount of time, and not so much lately, but it was a lot of FR Secure clients, and I would go meet with their boards and their
Mm,
like ownership groups
mhm,
because they had no idea how to set an expectation for their security program. They had no idea how to speak the language. They had no idea. Like, well, they're like, I don't know. We don't know what to do with this guy. He keeps giving us information, and we have no idea what it means. And how do I know if it's good or bad? And this kind of stuff. And it's like, holy crap, man. Like, I understand how
mm.
they feel, but I always felt worse for the guy who was in charge of security, the guy or gal, right? It was just like,
No,
man,
yeah.
I can't imagine, and how
Well,
shitty
not
was
and
that job description that somebody comes in and they, are already just like, well, none of this, all of this is nonsense. I just got to figure it out and
right.
hope these people don't fire me.
Well, and that's one of the frustrating things about being at this stage of my career. It's like you want to share wisdom, right? This is the wisdom time of my career where I've already fought the fucking battles. I've already taken my lumps. I'm not interested in fighting any more fights. This is how it works, right? And I've learned these things. So, like, don't repeat the same damn mistakes. But then for the people that want to be strong and want to, some of them, it's like, oh, I got a better way. It's like, fuck, okay, do you? I mean, let's see what happens, And it's like you repeat these same mistakes. So I think part of being strong for me has also been, as I've gotten older, for sure, is to be more. And to your point about feeling like you can't complain, I think one of the things that I've learned is before I complain, I better make sure I have something to complain about. So I usually look in the mirror first, like, you know, is it me
Hmm.
or is it John? You know,
What do I have to
because
learn from this, right?
yeah, because I want to make sure I get it right because I've made enough mistakes where I've gotten it wrong, where it's destroyed friendships or relationships or whatever, and I've got to deal with that shit. So first, like, you know, do I have a right to complain? And who am I going to complain to? You know what I mean? There's certain people I would complain to. Other people I'd be like, it's not even worth my time,
Hmm.
to complain to that person because they might come back with that. Well, what do you have to complain about? if you had any like respect for the perspective from where I'm coming, you wouldn't ask that damn question, right?
Mhm.
Because
Well, and especially people in your life that are reliant on you in
yeah,
some way, it's like, are they coming from a place of like they feel betrayed?
right.
You know what I mean? Like, man, I thought you were stronger than this. I was relying on that. Now I know you're not.
Yeah, yeah. There's
I've
the
felt
judgment
that
thing.
vibe a little bit too. Like, no, I'm really not a robot. I promise you. Like, it's,
Yep.
I feel things. My primal question is, am I loved? That's my primal question.
Oh, is there? Am I? Is this a quiz I'm supposed to take, you guys?
You absolutely can.
I want to do that.
And so but it tells you like so Matt was nice enough to post in the comments what that means. Am I wanted? What's that mean? So core needs are to feel accepted, to pursue, and to belong. So to be of value, right? And your core fear is to be excluded or left out, and your kryptonite is rejection,
Well, it's
right?
really interesting because if I'm my fear is being excluded, why the fuck am I riding alone?
No. Hey, Matt,
Crazy.
I accept you.
I
Well,
appreciate you. Thank
I'm
you.
only going to pursue you so far though, because you're in fucking Wisconsin. But you know,
well, maybe it's not that you want to be on the boat; you just want to be invited. Everybody wants
Mm-hmm.
you on the boat, and yet you decide not to be.
you could
That
just ride
that
your little jet ski
still can meet that need.
right along the side of the boat, and we can wave and shit.
Yeah, I mean, it is a wonderful feeling when to be picked first, right? It's like, hey,
Mhm.
if all this went away and Evan were to start a company, another company, I hope I'm on the list of people that he would want to take with him, right?
Oh,
That makes you
I already
feel
told
wanted. That's like
I already told you that.
a thing.
Like, because we get pursued all the time. I mean, it's like multiple times, certainly multiple times a week, maybe daily, about somebody who wants to buy
Oh
FR
yeah, I
Secure.
get them too.
And it's like, and I'm going to be honest, like, because sometimes they get through the filters, right? Sometimes
Mhm,
somebody will set up a meeting and I'm pretty honest about I'm going to sell the company. If I were to sell this company, I would sell it for 2 to 3 times what it's worth, and then I would just go start another company, and I would just not make the same mistakes that I made here, right? We'd be that much more efficient, and I would poach you, I'd poach Drew, I'd poach Vinay, I'd poach Oscar. I'd be like, well, what do you got?
mhm.
That's the only way I would ever do it. Otherwise, I'd have to live with myself knowing that I sold out, and that's I don't work for I work for Jesus, man. You know what I mean? I don't work
Mhm.
for anybody else, and I'm gonna have to answer for the shit I did. So it's just the way it is. All right, so let's close this up. Flipping the script on strength, defining strength not as suppression, but as honesty. Real strength is saying I'm struggling and showing up anyway. We all struggle, but that doesn't keep me away. I'm still going to go to the game. I'm still going to play. I may not be. I may need the winger to pick up some slack a little bit. You know what I mean, and lead me a little bit more. But I'm still showing up, and I'm still the best for the game. To John's point, like, yeah, I'll still kick your ass.
Yeah, yeah, we're really great at playing hurt.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I mean?
sure.
Like
Yeah.
anything to keep me on the field, I'll do it.
So we need to build workplaces, friendships, communities where people can be fully human, not just a bulletproof version, not anything fake. You have to create a place or work in a place, and you can influence this, even if you're not in a leadership position, of just being fucking real, right? Just real. That's one thing I love about this company. I love about FR Secure and I love about this culture is we're just real. None of us are perfect. None of us are better than anybody else. We just got different positions and different, points on the field to play. But I struggle. I'm not afraid to admit it. I've struggled with my, alcohol and addiction problems over the years. I've struggled with overwork and burnout over the years. I've struggled with all these things. And I tell you not because I want anybody to feel sorry for me, but because I don't want you to make the same fucking mistake.
Hmm.
And that's strength, in my opinion. And I love how you lead the same way. Like you share what the fuck you've been through. That's strength.
Yeah, I don't want you to pay the dumb tax that I've already paid, right?
Fuck.
Because a lot of
No.
other people paid a lot of dumb tax that I didn't have to pay, and I owe it to them to pass it along, right?
I don't
But
like taxes.
some people just got to learn the hard way. Like,
I pay
that's
a lot
okay.
of
That's
taxes.
okay
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Well, that's part of that is because you're a Marine too, man. I mean, come on. I've known enough Marines, seen enough Marines over the
You
years.
hope the
They're
Did
like,
I
clown tastes
show
better every
you
Right.
time.
this already?
that
Uh,
hurt really bad. I'm gonna
What
do
is
it
that?
again.
So at CypherCon, one of my friends made me this. It's a 3D printed Marine Corps emergency rations, and he was so nice enough to give me
Crayons.
some rations. Yep, crayons.
That's Marines.
So
All
I
right,
got them
Oh,
here
that's
on my desk
brilliant.
in case I ever get hungry.
That's brilliant.
that's awesome, man. All right, let's close this thing out. If you're listening to this and thinking of someone, a friend that's always got things handled, that they're always the strong person, whatever, hit them up, reach out to them, ask them how they're doing. You might catch them at the right time. You might catch them at the perfect time. When they hear that they need somebody to ask. Because when I wrote this, I was thinking about that moment, whether you meant it this way or not. What I heard was, everybody asks how all these other people doing. Ask how I'm doing. We all appreciate it. So do
Yeah,
that.
I may not tell you, but sometimes the gesture is enough. You know,
Right. So pay attention. And if that friend is you, I want you to know we see you because we're kind of like that too. And you don't have to carry this shit alone. You can't carry it alone. It's going to fucking wear on you.
you shouldn't. It results in some pretty shitty behaviors and some pretty shitty outcomes, right?
Absolutely.
That's a couple takeaways I had were like being in relationship with other people is important. Certainly being discerning and choosy, and like you don't just randomly say, "Hey, you're my best friend now. I'm going to tell you everything." Um, but cultivating those relationships and also understanding that resilience is, I think, an important trait to build
Hmm.
as a human being, as a member of a team, as a leader, as a husband, as a father. Being resilient um, is something I value highly, but it's not something that you should be striving to achieve overnight. It's an iterative thing,
Hmm.
right? Take that path responsibly, take it at a pace that makes sense for you. Don't There's no need to live your life in fear that you're going to fail. There's no need to burn yourself out, to overextend all the time, and that grind culture, that grind mentality, that I can handle anything mentality is pretty toxic. I don't think it's healthy.
It's awesome, man. That's some good closing wisdom. Wouldn't you say, Matt?
I agree.
Did you learn anything today?
What they just said. I learned that I want to be alone on a jet ski.
That actually was the core message. So I'm glad you
And
took that away.
this "am I wanted" thing, I need to dissect this more and share this with my therapy,
Thereby, you're the rapist.
the rapist. And I think I just found out I was attacked by Microsoft Singapore.
Good.
Hmm.
That's good.
This new Bitdefender, by the way, it does a pretty. There's some pretty fucking cool detail in here
Man,
about like
I don't
what
know why
actually
we're
happened.
closing. I don't know why we're closing on this shit right now.
Cause I just talk random shit, man.
All right.
Whatever.
Well, I love it. I love you. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, John, for coming. I learned a
Thank you,
lot.
John. It's awesome.
Yeah,
You
hey,
seem like a
thanks
pretty
for the
good
invite,
dude.
guys. This is a lot of fun. Thanks for letting me be a part of it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank
All
you
right.
to all our listeners.
Okay.
Don't forget to
Yeah.
like, subscribe,
Oh, yeah. That's the thing.
follow
We keep
Evan's
saying
blog.
that. Yeah. If you got time, fuck it. If you don't.
If his
That's,
site's not down because of
yeah.
This
Google.
Yeah. Exactly. All right.
That's
Peace
funny.
out, man.
Thanks, guys.